You know, some football matches, they tell two completely different stories at the exact same time. On the surface, this was a night of pure, unadulterated European dominance for Liverpool at Anfield. But if you look just a little bit closer, right underneath that spectacular scoreline, you find the same nagging question that has pretty much defined their entire season.
6-0. I mean, wow. That was the final score. A complete and total dismantling of Qarabağ in the Champions League. It's the kind of result that just screams confidence, ruthlessness, and control. It booked their spot in the knockout stages with absolute authority. But here's the thing. A number like this, as big as it is, can sometimes hide more than it reveals. It definitely doesn't tell the whole story.
And that right there, that's the central tension of Liverpool's entire campaign, all wrapped up in one 90-minute match. They have this incredible, almost unbelievable ability to produce these breathtaking victories. And yet, at the same time, they're constantly haunted by this underlying persistent problem. So how can both of those things be true at once? Well, let's break it down.
Okay, first things first, you've got to give credit where it's due, because the brilliance on display that night, it was just undeniable. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement, a message. Right from the opening whistle, Liverpool dominated possession. They controlled the tempo. They basically owned every single blade of grass. This was European Liverpool in full flight.
And the goals, man, they came from everywhere, which just goes to show you that the threat can come from any angle with this team. You had Alexis Mac Allister storming from midfield to score twice with incredible timing. Florian Wirtz added another one with a really clinical finish. Hugo Ekitike, he made this perfect darting run for his goal. And then even Federico Chiesa gets in on the act right off the bench. It was just a total team performance.
So how'd they do it? Well, tactically, it was a masterclass in fluidity from Arne Slot, and it was really built on three key ideas. First, the constant positional rotation between Wirtz and Mac Allister. It was just pure chaos for the defense. They were constantly getting dragged out of position, opening up these massive highways right through the middle. Second, Liverpool didn't just play at one speed. They controlled the tempo, patiently building pressure before, bam, accelerating right into the spaces they just created. And finally, they used the full width of the pitch with real purpose, stretching the play to create all these gaps for runners to attack.
But look, amidst all the tactical success and that flurry of goals, there was one moment that just stood out for its pure emotional weight. This was about way more than just another number on the score sheet. This was about Mo Salah.
For weeks, really, the conversation around Salah had been about his lack of goals, his body language, his leadership. So this goal, his first since November, it was like you could feel a collective exhale all around Anfield. It felt like a massive pressure valve being released, not just for him, but for the manager, the fans, the whole club. Just a moment of pure relief.
You could just feel the entire narrative shift with that one kick of the ball. Before, it was all about pressure, the goal drought, all these questions. Afterwards, it was relief, confidence, the feeling of a new start. He just looked lighter, you know, more direct, more like himself. Now, one goal doesn't erase the whole conversation, of course not, but it absolutely hits the reset button. And having your star player find that belief right before the knockout rounds, well, that's massive.
Right, so just when everything seems absolutely perfect, this is where the story takes a sharp and kind of familiar turn. Because even on a night where you win 6-0, a big warning sign flashed brightly, reminding everyone of the fragility that's lurking just beneath the surface of this team. And look how quickly it happened. The game had barely started. We're talking 2 minutes on the clock, and Jeremie Frimpong, a key player in a defense that's already thin, goes down. It's a story Liverpool fans have seen way too many times this season, and it immediately forced Arne Slot into a defensive reshuffle he never wanted to make.
And this right here, this gets to the very heart of the contradiction. Even on a night you win 6-0 and keep a clean sheet, the fundamental problem, a lack of defensive depth, is completely exposed. This one incident just reinforces the reality that Liverpool's margin for error is razor thin. One more injury, and you could be forcing a midfielder into the backline, limiting your tactical options. It creates a whole cascade of problems. It's an issue that one great result just can't fix.
So this brings us to the constant balancing act that really defines Liverpool's season. On one side, you have this explosive, sometimes unstoppable brilliance. And on the other, you have a persistent, worrying fragility. The 6-0 win wasn't an exception to the rule. It was the whole season's struggle in a nutshell. I mean, the ceiling for this team is incredibly high. We saw their elite attacking gears, we saw Salah get his confidence back, we saw the manager's tactical flexibility. That's the brilliance. But then you look at the floor, and it's worryingly low.
It's all built on that thin defensive depth, the constant threat of injuries, and some real questions about whether this high-wire act is even sustainable over a long season. Progressing in Europe is fantastic for sure, but it also just shines a huge spotlight on the clear need for reinforcements.
And so this is the question that hangs over everything. This night in Europe was a powerful reminder of just how high their ceiling can be. But the challenge for Liverpool has never really been about their potential for brilliance. The real test, the real question, is whether they can raise the floor. Can they find the consistency and the resilience to overcome that fragility when the games get tougher and the pressure really mounts? That's the answer we're all waiting for.
You know, some football matches, they tell